Helmets! Are they worth wearing? Or are they just a piece of decoration for your head that costs you money? Find out today in today's Tarkov Getting Started. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of Tarkov Getting Started. I am Timoredbeard. We are talking about helmets today, and helmets are a very controversial subject in the world of Tarkov at the moment, and I'm going to tell you why. If you're watching this video, it's likely because you're new to Tarkov or you're really hungry for information, but through either situation, you've probably been in Twitch streams or in Discord communities or on the forums, and you've seen some form of argument about how helmets are great or helmets are terrible, and I'm about to go a bit deeper into it to give you guys a fuller understanding so you can make your own educated decision. So, if you like this video, please go ahead and hit that like button, consider subscribing, and don't forget to press that notification bell. I go live on Twitch every Tuesday to Saturday from 12 PM GMT. I would love to catch you there. The link will be in the description below. You guys are awesome. So, helmets. They are potentially life-saving devices. But that word potentially is a really important word to focus on. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my own playstyle. And I'm also going to talk about my playstyle during certain parts of the wipe, because that is arguably the most important part of when helmets are worth using. So, at the beginning of the wipe, I will use helmets. And of course, I won't be using this helmet right here. This is the ULAC helmet, which is class 4 with a very high ricochet chance and ear protection. But we're going to go and have a look at all the different helmets available. And there are a lot of them. So, we're going to start off with one of the first helmets you get access to. And it's not the coal pack. Even you do get access to the coal pack. Never use the coal pack. Literally never use the coal pack. The same goes for the firefighter's helmet. The same goes for a few other helmets, though some people would argue differently. The Jetta helmet, which is like a police riot helmet, is not worth using. People aren't coming against you with steel pipes and bricks and stuff. That's just not the way it works. But this helmet right here, the SSH 69 helmet, is the first proper helmet you get access to at the beginning of a wipe. It's made of armor steel, which means it repairs really well. It's got an armor class of 3, which means it will stop quite a few different types of ammunition, especially early wipe, and it has a high ricochet chance. It has a very high ricochet chance. In fact, the main reason why this helmet is so good is because of it having such a high ricochet chance. Now, why would you use this helmet? Early wipe, it's because most people aren't using ammunitions good enough to pen it. The first sort of month of the wipe, maybe less with how progression's happening at the moment. So I'd say for the first couple of weeks of the wipe, this helmet will stop almost every round that comes your way, almost every round. And it will even have a chance of ricocheting off the rounds that it wouldn't stop. So it's a fantastic helmet early game, and I 100% would recommend using it. It doesn't cover your ears, it doesn't cover your face, but it does cover your head and the top of your head and the back of your head, and it can definitely be the difference between life and death in the early wipe stages. However, this helmet tapers off through the wipe. Once you're a couple of months into the wipe or 6 weeks into the wipe, this helmet becomes as good as useless, because the large amount of the player base will have access to far superior ammo that will go straight through this helmet, and you will be relying entirely on the ricochet chance. And personally, I don't believe it is worth the money for the ricochet chance alone. There are a few other early wipe helmets. Once you get to Ragman 2, you get access to the Kiva M. The Kiva M is like your baby, Zushum or your baby Alton. It is a very, very low tier, fully enclosed helmet that has the capability of having a face shield on it. You see this little strap here? It allows you to mount a face shield on top in front of it. So it is the first face shield accessible helmet. Now, I personally don't ever use the Kiva M at any point in the wipe at all. And the reason for that is because it completely destroys your hearing. It diminishes your hearing to an incredible amount, to the point where you are reacting not on audio at all, but you are reacting on what you can see. And then even that, you can't really see all that well if you've got a face shield on and it's blurred, like it's blurry, it smudges on it and stuff. You're really, really limiting your senses, which frankly, I think your senses are a better protection than this helmet. However, if you're starting out in the game, you're finding that you're dying to face shots a lot. You don't have the built-in muscle memory for the audio and the sight yet, and you just really want something to protect you, then getting this helmet plus the face shield is a really good way to go. There are an absolute ton of helmets here, and I'm not going to be able to go through all of them, but I am going to be able to put a lot of them into the same ball. So after the Kiva M, you get access to the LZSH, which is also a class 3 helmet like the Kiva. However, it doesn't have any ear protection, but it can have a face shield. Its ricochet chance is not great, so don't expect to be ricocheting any bullets off of this. And this is one of the other reasons why I personally don't use this helmet either. It costs more than it saves, if that makes sense. And this is a big part of helmets in Tarkov. Are they worth the money? Because it's not like you're not putting a helmet on just because it's crap. You're not putting a helmet on because the helmets cost money, and that money means that you're taking greater risk going into raid, which means that you can experience greater loss if you die. And it's about economical balance, right? So, I personally don't use this helmet because I have not had any positive experiences with it at all, literally at all. But it is an option there if you need your face shield protection. Later on, you get the Zushum helmet, which is this Russian pilot helmet style thing. It's a class 4 helmet with ear protection. It has the same problem as the Kiva in that it diminishes your hearing heavily, and the face shield will also diminish your sight. However, it is a class 4 helmet, which is incredibly useful for stopping a lot more rounds. That jump from class 3 to class 4 stops a whole new selection of rounds, increasing your chances of survival. However, they're not the cheapest. They are cheap at the moment, but that's because we're late in wipe. They are not the cheapest helmet at all at this current point in time. So I would arguably not recommend this helmet unless you're a no contacts player, and that's another thing to talk about entirely. There's this helmet. There's the 6B47 helmet, and this is the one with the cover. And this is the one without. This is a class 3 helmet that has ear protection, it has a high ricochet chance, and is very cheap. This is the only other helmet that I will use early wipe. So I will use the World War II or the Vietnam era steel helmet, the SSH-68, or I will use the 6B47. And the main reason I'll use a 6B47 is that it has this mount here, which means you can use night vision goggles with this helmet. And that's, really useful. Like, you've got your class 3 protection, you've got your ear protection, you've got your high ricochet chance, and you've got your NVG mount there. So for those night missions that you get early on, this is probably the best helmet you can get with a nice cheap pair of MVGs. Slap it all together and you've got yourself a pretty decent night ops loadout. Now, there are so many more helmets here. There are helmets that I'm going to slot in together though. So we've got the exfil helmet. Those are the face shields. So this is the exfil helmet, right? Now it's really important to note that the Coyote one, the tan brown one, cannot mount a face shield, whereas the black one can mount a face shield. Very, very important distinction to make. And it is reflected in the price, with the black one being 100k more expensive. Now these are class 4 helmets with no ear protection, though you can purchase class 3 ear protection to slot in there, and the ability to have a face shield. The exfil helmet is probably one of the best performing helmets in its group category, which is what I'm going to call the class 4 Chad helmets. So you have the exfil. You also, alongside the exfil, you have the it's not here. Okay, well, we got this one. We got the TC800. The TC800 is a raider only drop or a loot box only drop. It is an in-raid only helmet. You cannot purchase it from traders. However, it again is a class 4 helmet with a high ricochet chance. It doesn't protect your ears, and there is actually no ear protection that you can get for it. However, it can take a face shield. It is very lightweight, and it's a very effective helmet for its price. As you can see, it's cheaper than the Coyote exfils on the flea at the moment. Then you've got the old school. You've got the old school Chad helmet. So this back a long time ago, this was the only like full Chad helmet that existed. It was the Fast MT. And again, this is a class 4 helmet with a high ricochet chance. No ear protection, though you can get ear protection put in. It has a mount for a face shield. And it again is lumped in with this group. And the last to be lumped in with this group is the Cry Precision airframe. The airframe is personally my favorite helmet of the Chad helmets. And the reason for that is that you can put chops on and a face shield on, and the chops actually come down and protect the front of your jaw, which means if someone shoots you in the jaw, it has to go through your face shield and then your chops and then hits your face. And in fact, the face shield plus chops combo has saved my life more than any other Chad helmet ever has. However, the airframe is expensive when you're talking about $1,200 for the base helmet itself, plus a lot more money for the face shield and the chops. It's a big investment, and is it worth it? Well, we're going to talk about a couple more helmets first, and then we're going to go into the depth of that. Then you have your big boy helmets. Your big boy helmets are things like your Altin, which with a massive class 5 face shield, class 5 helmet, is going to save your life. To give a little bit of information about me, I recently competed in the Evasion GG Duo Battle tournaments, and during the entire tournament, I was wearing one of these bad boys. And that's because we were being hyper aggressive. We weren't worrying too much about audio cues. We were more worrying about just rushing through, killing everybody we possibly could, grabbing their tags and getting out. And so the Altin was fantastic for that, because I became known during the Evasion GG Duo battles for the guy who would always leave raid with a massive crack in the front of his face shield. Yes, almost every single raid I did during these battles, I got shot in the face and didn't die because I was wearing one of these bad boys. They are excellent helmets. They're incredibly good at protecting your life. However, you have the trade-off. They are not massively cheap, and they do scuff your hearing and your vision. They scuff your vision much more than any other face shield, because the slot that you can see out of is even smaller, as you can see from this, rather than a full-blown glass face shield. Then you have the Altin's brother, the Wrist T. The Risk T is basically a black Altin. It's got slightly more durability, doesn't weigh as much, slightly more ergonomic, but otherwise it's pretty much exactly the same thing. Then you have the Vulcan. Did I spell that wrong? I did. This is a Class 6 helmet. So this is going to stop a ridiculous amount of rounds from penning your head. However, it has massive impacts on your ability to move. Your turning speed is reduced by 33%. Your ergonomics is reduced by 20%. Movement speed is reduced by 7%. And the other parts of the Vulcan, the face shield, have pretty terrible 9% and 10% reductions as well. And the face shield is only Class 4, which means that the face shield is actually not as effective as the Altin. However, the rest of the helmet is more effective. There are a lot of helmets, and it's really hard to make a really, like, what's the word that I want to use here? Educated decision on what is best for you. Now you have the Killer helmet. The Killer helmet is a Class 4 helmet. However, the face shield that it goes on is Class 6. So if you are prone to getting shot in the face, a Class 6 face shield is going to help you out. However, Killer helmets have a very, very small visor slot because the entire face shield is made of armor steel. It is very, very hard to see out of. It's very, very hard to hear anything, and you're going to have a bad time. So I don't really recommend it. There are a few other helmets, but they are up there in the probably not worth it end of things. So let's talk about whether helmets are actually worth it after showing you the helmets. I would say early wipe, yes. Early wipe helmets are very, very important. Late wipe. Once you've got Ragman 4, you will get access to ULACs. And ULAC is what was on screen at the beginning of this video. You have it in tan and in grey. Now this helmet is Class 4 with ear protection and a high ricochet chance. If there is any helmet worth wearing that is like genuinely economically viable to you, it is this helmet. You can buy it from Ragman from level 4. You can get them on the flea quite regularly. Sometimes cheaper, but they'll often need repairs. This helmet has saved my life more than any other helmet has. The amount of times I've ricocheted shots off the sides of the helmet, off the top of the helmet. There have been raids where some guys have put like multiple rounds into my helmet, and I've been dazed and confused, but I've been able to carry on fighting. In my honest, humble opinion, if there was a helmet worth using mid to late wipe, it is this one. No others. No other helmet is economically viable to use than this helmet. Because this helmet has an incredibly high ricochet chance, like I've already said, and it will stop those, or it won't stop, but it will deflect those very, very high tier ammo rounds that people are using all the time. So you got to understand that mid to late wipe, everybody's running around with 55A1, 995, BS, 993, M61, M62, 762 BP. All of these ammos will pen Class 4, which means that all those Chad helmets are relying entirely on their ricochet chance. And the face shields being Class 3, you got no chance, right? These helmets are Class 4, yes. But their ricochet chance is so much higher than the other Chad helmets, and their cost is so much lower. So, my honest suggestion to you guys, early wipe, the SSH armor steel helmet, the 6B47 Ratnik helmet are the only helmets that you really want to use. If you're really struggling and you really need to tank up, then maybe use a Kiva or a Zusham. And then once you get into late wipe, you run a ULAC, or you run my favorite thing, which I've been running almost exclusively recently, the Black Beret. And I know this sounds ridiculous to you guys, but the amount of times that I have died to the headshot whilst wearing this beret, over maybe 50 raids, 60 raids, 70 raids, I can count on one hand. This beret is magic, and I don't know why, but people don't shoot you in the head when you're wearing this thing. I still die. I die to stomach, I die to arms, I die to thorax. Very, very rarely do I die to headshot whilst wearing this thing. It's magical, and you should be wearing berets too. So anyway, in summary, helmets are an expensive item that only can potentially save your life. They will not absolutely save your life. And so I don't think they are economically viable if you are trying to build up stash value, if you don't already have an absolutely massive fund to use. You use the SSH, use the 6B47 Ratnik, use the ULAC, or you use the black beret. That, I hope, has helped you guys understand helmets a little bit more, whether you should use them, whether you shouldn't use them, what situations to use them in, and if you do have any more questions about helmets at all, please drop them in the comments below. Feel free to DM me on Twitter, on Discord, or on Twitch, or even come into my streams and ask me more about helmets. I would be glad to talk to you more. Obviously, I want to keep this video down in the time. I don't want to just waffle on about helmets the whole way through. Guys, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, consider subscribing, and don't forget to press that notification bell. I've been Timoredbeard. You guys have been awesome, and I'll catch you next time.